Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome back to the Wombynhood Illuminated Podcast. I'm your guest. I am your host, Ruth McGilligan.
I'll interview you today.
Yay! And I am joined by my beautiful, beautiful soul sister and friend that I'm so blessed that is here because you travel the world. Rafika, everybody. This is the beautiful Rafika.
Hello.
So good to have you on.
Thank you for having me. I can't believe you even asked me to be on this.
Of
it's
course.
So nice.
Of course I have. Of course I have. Because you have so many gifts and so many. There's so much, like, there's people that come on to the podcast, and I just know, like, we need about 10 episodes because. Well, it's like when we start talking, like, we just don't know where it's going to go. But I have a clear vision of where I would love our conversation to go because so Rafika travels the world, and you've been traveling now for what we worked out 17 years of your life.
Yeah, kind of on and off.
Yeah, pretty consistently traveling and seeing the world, and you have many qualifications under your belt, and you're working through one right now that is one of the parts that has blown my mind. Like, you've taught me so much, and it's astrology.
Yeah.
You're massively passionate about it as well.
I love it. I can't get enough. Can't get enough astrology.
And, like, I mean, I have to say, folks, she converted Jason, and this is huge because Jason was like, oh, is Mercury rising again? You know what I mean? And then you explained it and the history, and just like you made this really sacred thing so accessible and blended in the science and the I don't know what, like, astrogeography, you know what I mean, how everything works, and we'll get to that point. But before we begin, just to introduce you and for people to get a feel of who you are, can you tell me a wee bit about, like, your journey, so like your formal qualification and then what you've kind of moved into?
Yes, so educationally, I guess, my life is kind of like, I've lived many lives, so I'm like trying to like go back to which ones are important. But I qualified as a social worker back in fucking 2010 or something like that, like a long time ago. And it was something I had never even considered doing. It was actually when I was away on my first, like, travel experience in Peru, a woman who was on the trip with us, she just saw something in me, and she was like, you need to work with people, you have to. And I was like, what really? and I kind of thought about it, and I was like, okay, cool, right. So that's how I ended up kind of doing social work, actually, from this lady. Her name is Kath. She's just so wonderful. Really inspired me to go down that journey. So I went to Leeds and did that for a few years on and off. I think anybody who kind of does that kind of work with people. So I kind of went more into, like, voluntary sector. So I worked more in the charity sector, mainly with young people, teenagers, children. I also worked with older people. I kind of did, like, a bunch of everything, you know. So it was a bit here, there, and everywhere.
It took you traveling though, didn't it, as well?
It took me traveling, yeah. So I worked in London for a while. I was working in Belfast, and I was just like, how can I work, or how can I like help and serve people as well, and do this somewhere else? And so I did many volunteer projects overseas. So I was really, really lucky that I got to experience. I think firstly, I think I was saying to you before, I just want to say, like, traveling is a real privilege.
Yeah.
And I want to kind of just put it out there and recognize that not everybody has the privilege or the opportunity, the finances, or whatever it is, the health sometimes even, to go away and travel. So I just really want to acknowledge that I'm very lucky, very privileged, and my privilege is this person from this country to go off and do that, you know, because sometimes this might not always resonate with people who can't do that.
Yeah.
And I feel really lucky that I've been able to do that in my life. But it was always just a real passion of mine. I didn't care about having a house or, you know, settling down or anything like that. so my first kind of real volunteer project was in South Africa. So I worked out there.
Where in South Africa?
In Durban.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I just loved it, and so I was there twice. So I worked with the young people who mostly were homeless, and so I got to work with the social worker who was out there. So that was a really incredible experience.
And where did you live when you were in Durban?
We lived in a hostel actually down the road, so we just got a bus in and out, and also had some time that was fun as well.
Yeah.
But so that was really beautiful. And then I was asked to go back a second year, and I stayed a little bit longer and got to work again in that organization with the young people and the ladies and the wonderful women who are there every day with those children. Like, it's just, when you're a volunteer, sometimes this, as I've grown older, I really like have really reflected on volunteering experiences, that obviously we can't always have this idea we're going to go in and like save people, rescue people, and that it's just hopefully an addition to the work that the people who are there every day, showing up every day, probably not getting a lot of recognition for the work that they do, and hopefully we are not too much of a hindrance, hopefully it is a help to the people who are there. So I've learned a lot, from that experience.
After South Africa, where did you go?
So I went back to South Africa a second time, and then was able to travel a bit through like Mozambique and stuff, and that was cool. Got to travel a bit more South Africa, and then I came back to Ireland, worked in a nursing home for a year, which just teaches you a lot. So that was great. And then I ended up in another volunteer program called Global Exchange. It was really cool. It's more like an international development organization called VSO, Volunteer Services Overseas. And so it was a 6-month program where you do 3 months somewhere in the world and then 3 months somewhere, Ireland, UK. So yeah. And I was like, cool.
So where were you?
Right, maybe. I was like, right, okay. Like, so I got to go to Sri Lanka, and I was like, amazing, sick. So like, that was class. And I was like, oh, maybe like in like closer to home, or maybe I'll get to be in England or Scotland or somewhere cool. And then I was in Derry. I was like, are you fucking joking me? Derry, of all places. I was just like, I'm from Belfast too, and I was like, no way. Like,
it's
oh my
just
God.
down the road.
Couldn't fucking believe it, because it was like I guess a UK Ireland-wide program with people from all over the country. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Do you know what I mean? So, in fairness, I'd never really been to Derry that much, so I was just like, okay, cool. I'm sure I'll be fine, But actually, it turned out to be really interesting and great, and I learned a lot from being there. So the program was 10 volunteers from over here went to Sri Lanka, and we lived then with 10 other Sri Lankans who came from all over Sri Lanka, in this one town that was really affected by the tsunami in 2006, the Boxing Day tsunami. So we did a lot of projects around that area to kind of support as whatever way we can the local community projects out there.
That would have been, what I love about travel, and especially the kind of travel that you've been doing. So we talked about this before, you and I, off air, but there's so many different ways to travel. There's like you said to me, you can go on retreat, you can live in a hostel, you can live in a 5-star hotel, like, and every way is beautiful and has its gifts. But there's something about traveling where you're hosted by families and you're really in it. You're in the culture. You're not a tourist. You're living the life of the local people there, and it gives you a real feel for what it's like to be from like Sri Lanka. So like when you were in Sri Lanka, was that with the host family?
Yeah, that was with the host family. I lived with quite a young mom and dad and 2 wee rascal twin boys who were adorable. And again, like they're not a lot of English, so it was really like what I love about overseas travel is just how your communication skills are so important, how your body language is so important, how actually like language isn't really that important in a lot of ways, you know, because actually we can communicate in so many ways, even if we don't share the language.
Yeah.
And eventually we can understand and also language is amazing, and how we can pick up languages that aren't even similar to ours, you know. Like I was picking up Sinhalese pretty quick, you know, when I was there. I was like, and when the two girls I was sharing the room with, they were talking, and I was like, oh, I understand what you're talking about, you know. So it was like, it's really wonderful how you can build relationships with people when you don't even share the same language.
I feel like
really wonderful.
This leads lovely into the story of the older Sri Lankan lady and the connection, like the power of connection without words. Can you share that story?
Yes. So this lovely family that I was staying with, they were so great. They would bring me to the temple, and I learned a lot about like Buddhism when I was out there. Also, again, their own history with their civil war and that kind of sectarianism, you know, their different the war between their religious groups as well. So it was very insightful. But anyway, this family were saying, oh, there's a wee lady who is not very well, who's a family friend. Can you come with us to go visit her? I was like, yeah, of course. So I went, and it was such a magical, beautiful experience. This woman just took my hand, and she was dying, you know, she was on death's door, bless her, and she was saying like the monk was coming in and giving her like kind of the last rites. In that tradition.
Yeah.
And she took my hand, and she just like looked into my eyes, and we just like, I don't know what it was, like I just was sobbing, like I just started to cry, you know. And she was then like translating to my host mom, was just saying, you know, you were my daughter in a past life, you know, we were mother and daughter in a past life. And I was just like, oh my God, like I really felt it, because I was like, I don't know this lady, I've never, and not that I wouldn't be emotional anyway, because I am a very emotional person, as you know, but it was different. It felt like I was losing like a real family member at the time, and I was just in bits. And we went home that night, and I think we went back the next day or a day later, and this wee lady had a wee doll. I was bleach blonde at the time. I was bleach blonde, and she had this wee doll. I don't know where she got the doll or how she got the doll, but the wee doll with bleach blonde hair, and she gave it to me, and she's like, "That's you, and you're my daughter, and you're my daughter." And I've never.
That was it, done.
Yeah, it was done, broken, dead. She was just the most beautiful woman, and she died a couple of days later.
What a gift.
But that experience, like I've never really experienced anything like that before, and it was just really special, and it really just opened my heart and my mind to like just as well, like just like looking out for each other, you know, like no matter where you're from, like, you know, like in those moments of life that, you know, where you're sick or you're kind of coming to the end, and or, you know, there's celebrations, and like it doesn't really matter, those big moments, people come together, and
like
it's just
when
wonderful.
you think about like you being Ballymoney, Belfast direction, and like between the two, and then like, would you ever have imagined you would be sitting at some wee Sri Lankan lady's bedside on her while she was like moving on to the next stage? Like, it's just mind blowing. You know, it's so like how things work out. And what I love about that story is this is a matriarch, you know, in the family, and how you just accepted it as that she was like, you were a daughter of mine in a past life. Like that's a part of their culture and heritage, that is not something like, if we, like I was saying to you before, if that was said here, everyone would be like, oh, you know. I know. Not everybody, I can't generalize, but a lot of people don't understand that. But like, wow, that is so beautiful. What a gift from your travels.
I could go on like forever about all the gifts I've received. Like the main gift I've received, especially from traveling all over the world, and in you know, traveling close by, is just kindness, just goodness, generosity. Like, you know, especially with people from countries, you know, when I went to Zimbabwe, then a few years later, and I was a team leader for a group of volunteers. We were doing a sexual health project for young people in the community also. Also like integrating local Zimbabwean volunteers and UK, Ireland, Irish volunteers, which I always think is so important because again, I really want to stress, I don't believe in like this white person savior coming into somewhere overseas to to save or rescue anybody, because I think that's total bullshit,
Agreed.
We have so much to learn from each other. So it's really a great experience. But the family I lived with there were just like my family now, they're so wonderful. And we would do our chores together, and we would just watch TV, we would just sit and I was telling you, we used to watch Nollywood, which is the Nigerian like Bollywood, Hollywood channel. It's just fucking great. I loved it. All the like the Nigerian soap operas, just fucking I loved it. I love her. Can we watch Nollywood tonight? And they loved it. We all used to sit around and we prayed, again, but every time before we ate, we prayed, and it was just like gorgeous,
They're Christian.
They were super Christian there. And got to go to, we went to church together, and that was super fun, like it was a lovely experience also, and I'm as as a person, very open minded, I'll like, I'm a bit of a dipper in and outer, like dipper in and outer. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, learn a bit of this, learn a bit of that, try a bit of this, try a bit of that, and really just immerse myself in those moments, because I think if you do decide to go traveling or volunteering or whatever it is, and in my opinion, I really love just to be like, right, fuck it, this is what I'm doing, I'm just gonna throw myself in. Obviously we need to like keep with our values and stuff, and sometimes we see things that really can challenge our values, can be very triggering, very confronting, and it's really working through some of that stuff and not projecting our judgments, or as best as we can. What I think anyway. But
I love that, like, because I think that is one of it's a privilege and gift of travel, is that you do have your values challenged, and I think that's really important, because it really makes you think, well, is this value mine because my family and my whole culture, I grew up in this, so it's just my, like, I've integrated this value, but is it really mine? And do I really believe in that? And like you and I have talked about this before, how things shift when you have this world lens of experience. You'd be like, oh well, I've never even thought to question that, or look at that from a different perspective, or to see or hear things that you just automatically be like, no, that's wrong, or that's not, no, that's a no for me, and based on your own inner biases, really, like your subconscious bias, and then you live in it, and you're with, and you're in the context of what that's being believed in and experienced in, and you're like, oh right, now this makes more sense.
Absolutely. And we can only really have those epiphanies, or those openings if we are open. Exactly, if we close and resist and I'm not doing that fucking shit, whatever, or I'm not doing that, or I'm not wearing that, or it's like, okay, obviously, we're very, sometimes when we're traveling, it's very out of our comfort zone. If you've never gone, if you've never seen anything like this, it's like, whoa, it's a shock. It can be very shocking, confronting, different, like sensory overload a lot of the time. But yeah, I think it's really a special gift, even if you're backpacking, whatever, like you're living out of a tiny bag, and you're carrying out and away the friggin' ton on your back, and you're walking around the streets, you're starving, you don't know where you're going. And I've been so lucky that I got to travel before, like, we had like social media and phones and all that kind of stuff, Do you know what I mean? So I'd disappear for a few weeks, my mom would be like, where is she? And I'd go to like an internet cafe and like, let her know I'm alive, bless her. Sorry, Mom, I know you've had a hard time. She's had a hard time with me.
Is she in a ditch somewhere?
Yeah, I know, especially, like Facebook actually was starting back then. So it was like, I remember being in Mozambique, and I'd went on this road trip with a couple of people, and it was very last minute, and eventually went to an internet cafe, and she like had all these like friend requests from all of her friends, and she was like, "Where are you? Your mother's worried sick." I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry, mom." Yeah, I felt like a dickhead, you know. But keep in touch with your family, people.
Yes, let people know you're alive.
Let people know. So I was really lucky that I got to experience a lot of that. And I think now, obviously we've got our phones all the time, and we're taking pictures, and you know, sometimes it's like
that can ruin the experience a little bit as well, because it's taking you out of it when you're in it. Like, don't get me wrong, you've taken beautiful photographs and you've documented, but it's like, who's it for? And it's for you.
Yes.
Sometimes like that can, I personally believe it wouldn't be for me, like, you know. I love travel bloggers though. I love watching other people doing it. I just wouldn't. I'm like, no, I want to be in it.
Exactly.
You know?
And I've really struggled with that actually in my recent travel in Australia. Like I think it's great to document your life, but I think I really again, then it's about valuing, and it's about respecting other people and cultures, and what are you taking pictures of, and what are you you know, again, like really making sure there's like respect. We're not taking pictures of local people without any like consent, you know, all that kind of stuff. Like I really struggle with, and not that I'm doing it personally, but I you know, with the travel blogging, it's cool, and people like, fair play, it looks really good, and you know, there's
but there is a line. It's funny because Paddy that you met, my adopted nephew, we love you, Paddy, was in Tokyo recently, and he was showing us like these arches that are like entryways to the temple, and there's this one that is really like world famous, and he didn't take any photos. He took one from way far away of it, and he says, because he just felt like this is really irreverent, because there is actual signs up that say no photography, and he's like, and it's just all these, and he's like, he says, I hate to say it, but all these Westerners standing and taking, and he's like, and posing and whatever, and he was like, guys, you're in a temple.
I know.
Have a bit of respect. But it's just and that's, again, I can almost like that colonizer energy, that we're just going to go and take what we want, and like not respect. Like I remember you telling me that story about, was it in Guatemala?
Yes.
In the lake. Yeah. Share that wee story.
So I was very lucky again to travel with my best friend. I ended a very difficult romantic relationship after like 5.5 years or something. Then I just fucked off like 3 weeks later and went traveling with my bestie Louise, and we had, you know, we were planning, we're like, cool, we're gonna teach in English also. So I was, like I said, I was a social worker for, I can't remember if I said that, but did I say that? So forgot. So after I did social work for a few years, I was like, oh fuck this is so intense, I just can't be arsed. So I was like, there must be another way that I can like travel and make money, and you know, not volunteer all the time, maybe do something else. So when I was with this boyfriend anyway, I was in between jobs, and it was my brother. He had done the CELTA course, the it's like a
English,
the Cambridge course to teach English. And he'd done it, and he was like, you should do this. And Louise, she was teaching English at the time, she was like, you should do this course. And I was like, okay, why not? So I did this course while I was working full time in my like kind of social worky job, which was super intense as well. So I was like working full time doing this course, which was like really intense. Met the most amazing people on the course, and then Louise was working in Kazakhstan at the time, and she was like, oh, like, come out to Kazakhstan and like maybe you can get a job here. Wow. And I was like, okay. So I went to Kazakhstan with her, stayed for about a week, and I was just like, where she was staying, I was like, I don't know if it's
not
for
your
me.
Vibe. Yeah.
I think because she was like in the big city, and it was a bit in Astana. And it was just kind of like what I imagined Dubai to kind of be like, you know. It was very interesting though, but I was like, I just don't feel it. And thankfully she felt the same. She was like, actually I don't want to work in Kazakhstan again this year. She's like, and then we were like, why don't we go work in Mexico, and we can go like work like the opposite side of the world. Why don't we go get jobs in Mexico? And I was like, yes, that sounds perfect. So anyway, and at this time, sorry, this is a bit of a tangent. At this time, I'd met a cousin. She's like a third cousin. Her name is Sarah. She's an inspiration, an amazing woman who lived in India for many years. She was a lawyer for years, and then she sacked it off and then ended up doing English teaching. Wow. So she taught in India, she taught in Italy and the Czech Republic and all these different places around the world. And she's just cool, you know. She's just a really cool, wonderful woman. And I met her when I was going through a really hard time in this relationship. And she taught me this Buddhist chant, this Nam Myoho Renge Kyo.
Say it again nice and slow, please.
Nam Myoho Renge Kyo.
And what does that mean?
I don't know. I don't want to translate each part, but basically it's Nichiren Buddhism. And Nichiren Buddhism, it's Buddhism from Japan.
Oh, okay.
And you chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo to a scroll, and it's really, again, like any kind of sacred mantra. You're chanting to access the universe, you know, or like, you know, we all have access to the universe or to God or to whoever. But it's this direct channel. And she's like, you know, have your intention, and you know, and so I went to her house and I was like, okay, so I sat with her and we chanted Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, and I was still doing the course at this time, and the relationship was going really, it was terrible at the time, and I was really like chanting for a few things at the time. I was like, oh, I really want to pass my driving test, or I really want to really get a good grade in my CELTA, my English teaching course, and I want to be able to do it without clashing with work, and there's a few other things. And then I was like, I want to chant for my relationship to get better. And so I was chanting. Then I just chanted every day, and just things were changing. I was doing really well in my course, and just like I was getting super grades, and in my teaching practice I was getting like top scores, and I was like, fuck, this is working. I was like, shit, wow, you know. And I felt like there was like a lot of things shifting, but I noticed the relationship was like going downhill. I realized we're going way off tangent off the question you asked me.
Not at all.
But I'll get there. But
I love this. I love tangents. They're the best. It all fits together though.
Exactly. So so the relationship was getting worse and worse and worse, and I was like, what the fuck is happening? Why is this so bad, you know? But eventually, anyway, there was a moment that came, and I just like, I had to sever, like the relationship had to end. It was just out of hand. And then I remember, so me and Louise had booked this trip then to Cuba first, and then a trip to Mexico, and that was just that one-way flight. And I broke up with my ex 3 weeks before this trip then to Cuba. And I remember I was a wreck, you know, and I was like, you know, I was trying to leave my job then. I was trying to sell my stuff. I was, you know what it's like. I don't know if anybody can resonate what it's like when you're leaving the country or you're going away and
there's so much to do.
It's just chaos.
Yeah.
And I'd been going through this breakup after 5.5 years, and it was just mental, and
everything was ending.
And it was just, oh my God, it was all over the place. And also, to bring in a bit of astrology, I was 28 at the time, so it was my Saturn return. So that's usually,
what is a Saturn return?
The Saturn return is when Saturn like orbits back into your natal chart and your personal chart, usually on like from 27 to 29 years of age. And Saturn is like, represents like big daddy, strict father energy in astrology, you know, and of karma, of like responsibility, breaking down things that are no longer serving you, really. So usually, you know, around 27, 28, 29 is the time of our life where people get married, get divorced, move country, change their jobs. You know, usually there's quite like a big identity shift around that time. So I didn't realize this at the time, and I was like, oh my God, my life's all apart. It was crazy. I was like, what the hell is going on? And I remember then like being in my job, and I remember crying in the office, and the CEO came into the door, and my friend Donna like shut the door like in her face and was like, get out, you know. And I was like, oh my God, because I was crying. But anyway, so in between that time there was a really big hurricane happening in Cuba, and then there was the really big earthquake also in Mexico at the time, and I was just like, oh my god, am I meant to go? Like, what's this is awful. Obviously terrible tragedies what was going on over there. Anyway, chanting again Nam Myoho Renge Kyo is something that really helped me and brought me back, and it really helped me to ground and to feel safe in, like, okay, whatever happens, I'm gonna be all right. So anyway, very long story short, went to Cuba, it was wild. It's crazy. Ended up in Mexico, wild. But then we ended up in Guatemala, like unplanned, you know, and we did some amazing Workaway is also a great website organization that you can do volunteer projects and get in exchange for food, accommodation. You can do that anywhere around the world. I think they probably have them here in Ireland somewhere.
Wow.
Yeah, so they're really cool. So we signed for Workaway, ended up doing a Workaway in the north of Guatemala in the jungle, in an eco lodge, and that was really cool. Met beautiful, wonderful people. My ex was a Latino, so I won't name names or name where he's from. But my Spanish wasn't great because you know, we never spoke in Spanish, but I, you know, was very immersed in the culture of Latin culture, I guess. That's where I really learned how to speak Spanish when I was out there, you know, because I was really forced to, you know, and again, it's like, and my friend was amazing. She's a really good kind of fluent Spanish speaker. So it's like you're going through another process,
of course,
where you're like a beginner, you know, like you're a beginner at something, and it's like
ego death.
God, I don't know if anybody feels this. I'm just like, I hate being new at something. I hate being a beginner. I hate being shit. Like it really stresses me. Can I just be amazing already? You know, and especially compared to someone who's amazing already, you know, it's so hard. Especially with language too, because sometimes you're not left out, but you know, like you're trying to keep up with what's going on, and sometimes it's, you know, but it is what it is. But it was great. It was really great, and people who have learned other languages, I'm sure, can resonate that it's just it's awkward. You have to put yourself out there. You're worried about fucking up, making mistakes. You have to
stutter through the pronunciating things wrong.
It's so cringy, yeah. But you know, you just have to force yourself through it. And luckily I was able to speak reasonably well and understand quite well. And then we ended up in the south of Guatemala in a place called Lake Atitlan. Beautiful place. It's gorgeous. Like, you have to look it up, people. This gorgeous lake with a big volcano, like an active volcano. Yeah. Fuego in the, you know, it's in the distance, erupting every night. Gorgeous. Ended up in this... I guess kind of this place called San Marcos. And yeah, like I suppose the question was, I went on a very long tangent there, but the question was, wasn't it like, you know, around disrespect, or, you know, around
like
locals,
people not respecting the local culture.
That's what it was around. And so in this lake, so there was a lot of like native Mayan people living, and then of course then a lot of tourists come and are, you know, in living, and then in this town was a particular kind of hippie town, and you know, like I met some really lovely people. Ended up working in a wee cafe with the local women in the town. That was class. But anyway, so there were many people from different countries who were living in this village, and there were signs kind of written all over the town saying, please don't walk around in your bare feet, because really it's offensive to local people, and please don't swim in the river or in the lake naked, because it's really offensive. And I heard many people complain about these signs, you know, and I was just like, fuck off, man, this is not your place, you know. Exactly. Like, and I used to like wear your shoes, do you know what I mean? Like, it just used to really upset me, and that's not even me, you know. I'm sure it was way more upsetting for the local people.
Just, you know, that like
don't
brazen care. Like disrespect. It's like, if you're coming to somebody else's country, to their land, to their world, with their traditions, respect it. You're not on your turf, you're on someone else's. that like, and these are people who admire their tradition. Like this is the weird part. Like they're there because they're like, oh, the Mayans, oh, you know, oh, look at their traditions and rituals and beliefs, and you're like, then you're, but look, like disrespect. It's just mind-boggling, you know, like.
Exactly. So that story it always sticks with me, you know. Sorry, it was very long to get there.
No, perfect.
But
perfect. Like it's just it's I think one of the coolest things that you've shared with me of all of your travel talk is this like understanding of respect and knowing your place, which is also knowing that you're not at place, like you're not part of, you're an observer at times. And like I was joking about ego deaths, but like there's the tractors for you folks. It's good weather. It's good weather. They're out cutting there, the silage. But travel is a real humbling experience. Like it humbles you for your kind of travel, that like volunteering, backpacking, like, and I really want to speak to your recent experience. So Rafika is here, and this is a real blessing because she is actually somehow bilocating and being here from Australia. So she's here on a short trip, but you've been living in Australia, and like just to speak to, first of all, how much I admire your courage and your bravery in stepping into the unknown, because like you said, for those that travel, and I can only imagine, I've myself not done this, but like to sell all your possessions or to give all your possessions away and to put your whole life into one bag that you can take you all around the world, as well as, you know, you're moving, you're trying to let one way of living die, which is the 9 to 5, the security, all the stuff that we buy into about, oh my God, what the fuck am I doing getting on this plane, going to the back ass of nowhere to a culture that I don't know or understand. I'm thrusting myself into this, can't speak the language, and I have all my life on my back, and what do I keep, what do I give away, like what I want. It's like, it's so challenging of all the conditioning of humanity and culture and all the, like our stories around what we need. You know, we have so much that we think we need. Our houses are cluttered with crap. I'm like, hands up. So like I've said to Jason, in this new transition that we're in, for me particularly, it's like I'm going through the house. I'm blazing through, and we are going to release so much stuff that it's like there's also the not getting to it story that you can tell yourself, you know. That's my excuse anyway. But you know, like to really release yourself of all this stuff, because like your beautiful Sri Lankan lady, whenever you're passing, you don't take like it's all stuff. It doesn't mean anything other than the meaning you give it, and we do give lots of things meaning. But you know, that kind of just shedding, to realize all you need is right here in this beautiful body.
And also I think that's really important also, just like the material possessions, all that kind of stuff. But also for many years because I was like, I'm away, I'm back, I'm away, I'm back, you know, I would just go for as long as I could and then come back and work in some job that I didn't care about, obviously, you know, but I was just, it's not what I wanted to do, or really with my whole heart, or not where I really wanted to be. And I just like get these kind of short-term contracts, but like work my arse off, save the money and fuck off again, you know. And I did that on and off for, like I said, 17, 18 years or whatever it is. And I put up with a lot of criticism and opinions from people who said, you know, what are you doing? You need to sort your life out. You need
a job,
you need to settle down. You need to do all, and those are cool things if that's what you really want to do. Those things are lovely. Sometimes I wish I was like, why can't I be a normal person and just and like have a normal job and a house and a flat and a boyfriend and all these things? Do you know what I mean? Like and a dog. It's like, cool, like, you know, why can't I be? And sometimes I shame myself a lot for not being this kind of normal person. And again, I know that goes back to like childhood. I'm half Algerian, half Irish, half Algerian. I moved around. I grew up in France. I grew up in Belfast. I lived in 10 million houses, you know, so it's in my nervous system, my fascia, whatever it is, and my blood also to move, because I've moved around 10 million times since I was born. Do you know what I'm saying? So I know that was a thing that I couldn't really settle. And part of it is like, people are like, you're running away. And part of it probably was running, you know? Like, I think that's another thing with travel is like, sometimes we are running. Sometimes you meet people on the road and they've gone through a grief. They've left a relationship. They are wanting to find themselves. They're, you know, there's amazing stories that you hear from other people on the road, as well as the local people living in the country. The other travelers you're encountering are like, you know, it's fascinating, you know, who you're, you know, who you're discovering. And I felt a lot of shame sometimes around like this need to always be away and travel. But you know what? I just fucking did it anyway. I was just like, do you know what? I do feel this, because I think sometimes I was listening too much to other people and taking importance on their opinion and not feeling like, you know, feeling a bit like the black sheep but then like I also got beautiful you know, the free spirit, you know, like you're a free spirit. And I remember my ex-boyfriend like was like, oh, you're a free spirit, you know, like, and kind of was raging about it, and I was like, sorry, you know, like, and I never would ever call myself that, you know, but he kind of used it in like a resentful way one time, and I was like, ha, that's kind of funny.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so along with all those, like, you know, letting go, again, it's like, okay, I'm gonna surrender, I'm gonna like trust that whatever happens. And sometimes with the things that are more organized, it's kind of easier, you know, because you kind of know, like, you're going for a project. Or God, when I was 20, I worked in a nightclub in Bulgaria for like 3 months. Do you know what I mean? And I just saw the ad on Facebook and I just went by myself, you know. And ended up working in this club, things like that, where I was like, I don't, and then I'm like, oh, it's fine. And then I'm on the plane and I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? So there are many moments when I have felt like is there something wrong? Like, am I crazy? What's wrong with me? Why can't I stay in one place? Why can't I stay still? And for all those years I was running, but also I was like learning a lot about who I was. I was healing. I was recovering from childhood stuff. I was then learning all these different healing modalities, like when I was with my ex-boyfriend, he was a Peruvian guy. I said I wasn't going to expose him, but I'm not going to say his name. But like, you know, and I had some like amazing experiences in Peru with him, actually, where he was from like middle of nowhere, and like mountains, indigenous, you know, land, and he had a local shaman come and we did this big ceremony together, you know. And this is before I was even interested in any of this kind of stuff. You know, so these kind of experiences have come to me naturally. And then when I went, I was healing from a lot of hurt, and so I was finding these different ways to fix myself, you know, like to feel better. And that's really why I was doing it, because I felt like fucking shit, you know. And I think a lot of people do come to those moments, you know, those crossroads in their lives. Maybe it is when it's their Saturn return, you know, maybe it's whenever. So anyway, after I'd done a lot of traveling for many years, lived in Spain for a while, kind of like went back to South America, Central America. And then when all the COVID stuff happened, I was living in London, working as a teacher and a tour guide, believe it or not, which is a bit of a mad job as well. And then anyway, long story short, I ended up having to come home. And I was like, okay, fine, you know, like, and so actually coming home was all right, you know. I was like, okay, it's not so bad, you know. Because also I think a lot of the time I was suffering, you know. When I was at home, I felt like I just needed to be away, and you know, from all the stuff you kind of go through, that I went through. So I just, as soon as I could, I was like, see you later, bye, I'm out of here. So coming back and actually being like, I ended up working, you know, in Ballantoy, the kayaking for a little while. That was a cool job. That was really fun. And then I got my job working for Women's Aid. And that was an amazing job, a job that I was really resonated with, really wanted to do. And I was like 20, 21. I wouldn't have been ready for that. No. So it was so synchronistic how I got that job, actually. That was for another time, I guess. But anyway, so I ended up getting a beautiful flat. You've heard about this beautiful flat a million times. If anybody who's listening, any friends who were at my beautiful flat, you'll know how beautiful it was. I lived by myself in this beautiful flat on the Armour Road. I fucking loved it, right? Because my base would be Armour Road. Like, that's where I feel like it's my home. Like, that's where I feel most like home in Belfast. And I lived really close to Ormeau Park, and it was my favourite place. And I went and skated and rollerbladed and did all these amazing things. And I just was working and living in this flat, and I was just like, okay. And then I was meeting actually other people in the spiritual community. That's when I met you, and around that time. And that's when I was meeting like all the other cool people in Northern Ireland that are doing like cool, mystical, magical stuff. And I was like, sick, great. Like, I'm like...
And then you had a dream.
And then, so then I was in my beautiful flat one night in 2022, and then I just had this like download, I guess, you know, I hate that word, but you know, this that's what I'm going to call it for now. And it was like, you need to research a working holiday visa and I was like, what? This is weird, you know? And then I was like, okay, so I looked it up, and then it was like, because I was like, well, I'm 34, like I'm a little bit old for that, surely. And then it was like, okay, the only two countries that with an Irish passport you could go to is Australia and Canada. And a lot of people know, especially Louise. She's like, for me, Australia was a no. I was like, I'm never going there. I don't give a shit about Australia. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm not interested. Like, you know,
it's not for you.
And it's a bit of ego because it's like everybody goes to Australia, and you know, and that's what it was like. Partly, it was like everybody goes to Australia. Why would I go there? I'm too cool, and I should go to somewhere more interesting. Do you know what I mean? Like, how ridiculous. God, I'm so embarrassed by that, but that is true.
Well, it's true.
And also, like, I think I just wasn't interested. I was always interested in Canada out of those two, actually. I was like, oh, Canada sounds amazing. But for some reason, I kept looking at Australia and was researching Australia, and I'm like, what the fuck? This is not coming from me. You know, I just had a moment, and I was like, this is not coming from me. No one had been talking about Australia. No one had, you know, like mentioned it to me. So I was like, why? This is weird. Like, and it was just like, I went down a bit of a rabbit hole. And I was like, okay, that was like a weird experience, you know? Okay. And then I just like moved on with my life. And that was November 2022. Like, it was Christmas time. I was hanging out, meeting people, enjoying my life. And then I discovered astrocartography, which is locational astrology, which is wonderful. Like, it's so fascinating.
What can you explain it a wee bit to us then?
So
I can't say it.
astrocartography. So like in astrology, you know, it's more than our sun sign. Obviously, I think most of us are kind of a bit more aware of that now. You know, with our time of birth, we can identify our birth chart, our natal chart, which identifies where all the planets live, and how they affect us now, in the future, in the past. On that exact moment that we were born. So it's very unique, you know, no birth charts are really the same.
Yes.
So then it's kind of like the same with astrocartography. You type in your, you know, you can use a little calculator online, and you can type in your name, your date of birth, and your time of birth is always if I know it's not always possible to have your time of birth, not everybody can access that. But then it gives you a map of the world, and it shows you different planetary lines and influences through different countries around the world.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was like, even with astrology, I'm a bit like, that's my hobby. That's what I would do in the evenings. I would just like Google friggin' Taylor Swift's birth chart for some. I don't even care about Taylor Swift, but you know, I'm stuff like that. I'm like, oh, it's fascinating. So then I was like, oh, I'm gonna check out my astrocartography and see because then I had this random thought about Australia, and then I noticed, and this was like months later, and I noticed there were 3 big lines. So the planetary lines, so you could have like our Venus, our Pluto, Saturn, and then they affect our midheaven, our sun line, our moon line, you know, so it affects our emotional world, where we're going to shine. Our Jupiter line, like, where are we going to have luck, you know, which country will I feel really lucky if I'm in a Saturn line.
So it's according to where you're at on the planet, and then where this other planet is when you're born, and then the line is drawn that way. Is that it?
couldn't tell you the exact, I'm still exploring the exact science of it, but on the map, when you look at it, there are lines that go
that
like
makes
straight
sense.
and go kind of like curvy, and it reflects to each part of you. So like I said, one line will represent your sun, and maybe your sun line will be going through Japan.
So you've explained something, sorry to jump back, but for those who know nothing about astrology, okay, let's take it way back, because for me and for Jason, now for me, I'm a bit more open, as you know, but like Jason, astrology, and for some of you out there, you might be like, oh, fake astrology. Astrology is the back of the Sunday World magazine, reading according to your star sign, what your day is going to be like, and it's this generic, silly thing, right? But you broke down and explained it so beautifully. I would really love to share that, because it gave us a wealth of knowledge that we didn't understand. So obviously you hear astrology and you're like, oh, it's connected to the day you're born, obviously, and we'd be like, all right, I'm an Aries because I was born in this point, and that's about as much like this period of time, if your date's between this and this, like it was so generic, like it felt so huge. But then you explained about where all the planets were aligned literally on the second of your birth, not just the date, but the time and how that impacts you. Can you explain? Because you were explaining about the planets, like I don't even understand sun sign, moon, like sun rising, moon, like I don't.
Yes.
Can you explain a wee bit, please?
Of course. So like the birth chart, like I was saying a bit, we can access our birth chart even if we don't have the time where we're born. We can still get information about the other place. It's basically just gives you a map of your life, and astrology can help you. And again, none of these things are Bible, right? None of these things are like things we can decide for ourselves what information we take and what we don't, right? And for me, it was just a bit like, oh my God, that makes sense of why I'm like that. Right. So sometimes it's just a tool for a bit of actualization. Sometimes it's just a bit of guidance, a bit of support, a bit of we can understand ourselves a little bit better. Because really that's the point of life.
Exactly. Why else would you be interested?
Yeah, that's really what astrology is for. It's just a tool to help us understand ourselves a little bit more, right, and get closer to ourselves, and we can decide, oh cool, right, that resonates, or actually, oh right, that doesn't, or maybe it's like an experiment. I'm a bit of an experimenter, you know what I mean, in lots of different things. I'm like, cool, well, so for example, our sun sign, your Aries sun, so our sun is that month horoscope, the one that we kind of generally all know. The sun in astrology isn't actually the most important one, but we kind of grow into our sun sign as we get older, and it's the area in life, kind of to put it basically, where we shine. You know, the sun is where we shine. So areas of Aries themes is where you're going to shine. So being brave, being independent, a trailblazer, you know, courage, all of those things, like you know, those more positive traits of Aries will be the areas of your life that maybe as you go through life, you're gonna, you know, that's where you're gonna shine more. But then we have to talk about houses and aspects, and you know, so anyway, that's our sun. Our sun is where we shine. And then we've got our moon sign, which is like the opposite, right? So it's like our hidden side. All right, it's the unconscious. It's our emotional world that sometimes, you know, that we don't always maybe show to the world, right? But sometimes with our emotions, depending on what sign your moon is, and we are both Cancer moon. So Cancer moon is like very emotional, very deep, and we might not always reveal. We have to feel safe to show our emotions to people.
It's Cancer, like, so mine is a Cancer moon.
Your Cancer moon.
And how do you work that out? Is it based on where the moon is when you were born? As well.
Yeah.
Like,
so it will be in it will be in
Okay.
one of the zodiac signs.
Okay.
So each planet in our birth charts, it will show you all the planets in the solar system, and it will be assigned a sign, you know, right? Because then wherever it was in the sky, because it's always moving, you know, so your moon at that moment was in Cancer when you were born.
Understand now. Okay.
So that's why you're Cancer moon.
Makes
right?
sense,
And then our ascendant is like the the roadmap. So then we have the astrological wheel, right? So it's like in a wheel, with houses, and then it shows you aspects and connect. So basically, houses, the planets live in the house, and then the aspects kind of talk about the relationships between planets. So it's like people, right?
Yeah.
So some people get on better with other people. Some people have more conflict with each other, you know. So that's kind of what astrology, I always take it's like. It's kind of like, you know, our relationships with ourselves, our relationships with other people, and which area of our life. So our ascendant, the rising, is kind of the one that's most accurate to us, actually, you know, like, because it's like that minute you were born, and it changes every hour, you know. So, for example, I'm Libra Sun, Cancer Moon, and Scorpio Rising. And years ago, when I didn't know this, I was like, Scorpios are dickheads, you know? Sorry, Scorpios. But then I was like, oh shit, like actually, it's quite a big part of my chart. Like there's quite a lot of Scorpio in there. And I was like, oh, sorry. Whoops. So it's interesting, isn't it? You know? So then then you'll have a Mercury in a sign. Mercury is all to do with your like expression, communication. Then we've got Venus, like how we love, how we express pleasure, money, love, all those things. And then we've got Mars, a planet of like action, drive, motivation, conflict. What's after? Then Jupiter. Okay, the planet of expansion, you know, exploration, luck, abundance. You know, how do we find luck, you know, in life? Okay, well, maybe yours is in, like my Jupiter is in Gemini, so where I find luck, so Gemini energy is air. It's all about chat, networking, getting to know people, change. So sometimes for me, then I find jobs, for example, I've told you this a million times, I find jobs not by applying online, but by meeting a person. Because I'm like chatting, getting to know them, and then they're like, oh, you should, that's how my opportunities come.
Love it.
You know, so maybe if your Jupiter is in Leo, for example, then maybe your luck and abundance will come when you're fulfilling your creativity, you're living in your joy and your passion, you're being seen, you're do you know what I mean? You're leading. So things like that, and then it goes through the rest of your chart. So up to Jupiter are your personal planets that affect you. And then we've got the likes of Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, and then Pluto, which are planets that live far away.
Okay, so they're slower moving.
They're slower moving.
So they have a different impact because it's like a longer...
Yeah, they take a bit longer. So that's why they're more like generational. So they will affect people from like certain generations.
Period of time.
Yeah, so maybe from like, for example, this is not accurate, by the way, like accurate date, so please do your research, people. But so for example, 1986 to 1988 is like, so maybe Pluto in Scorpio generation, right? Or then the next generation will be Pluto in Sagittarius or whatever.
Right, yeah, I get you. Yeah.
Okay, so then each planet moves all the time, so they'll affect us in different areas of our chart. So basically each planet represents something. And then the sign will give us an idea of how we can embody that sign and get the most out of that energy.
Wow.
You know?
It's just, when I hear that, it's like, I know it's really silly, but you forget it's actual planets. That's what the astrology is based on. The movement of the planets, and obviously our ancestors are like, this has been around for such a long time, and it crosses so many cultures, which I think is so fascinating. I've seen I'm so going to say this wrong, so forgive me, people, and Jason will tag here below if you're watching the correct name, but in Turkey, you know that site Tepe something. It's this site that they're still excavating, that they found, that just basically shifted the whole timeline of what they thought our abilities were, like our ancestors' abilities were, and how, you know, we thought, basically we were all Neanderthals, you know, at this time, but it's showing that actually the human intelligence, like an ability, was way further back than we initially thought. And they found on this site all of the astrological signs.
Wow.
And this is
That's
thousands and
amazing.
thousands and thousands of years old, and this is in Turkey.
Wow.
So, like, of course, we've been using the stars. We map the course of, like, chartered, like, boats, and like how we discovered all the different parts of the world was through the stars. You know, our ancestors used the constellations all the time for everything, and you know, there's so much belief around all these ancient sites are all connected to the stars, and the stars are the planets. Like, I know they're stars and planets are different, I know, but you know what I'm saying? It's like they're all of these movements in the sky, and that is what your astrology is a discussion of the impact in the emotional body, which makes so much sense. Like, there's so much now that we know, like even the movement of the moon on how it affects the tide. Like, that's like now a very basic knowledge that people know. And once upon a time, people would be like, oh, that doesn't impact you. And I was like, ask, like I've said this before in a previous episode, ask any nurse working in an A&E.
Yes.
On a full moon, they'll be like, it's a full moon, without knowing it's a full moon, because they're like, the place is crazy. You know, it impacts us. Of course. Why would Mars not impact us? Why would the movement of all these massive astrological bodies not impact us? Like, why is it that it's okay to accept that the moon would impact us? And the sun, like when it's a cloudy day, and I know that's like physiological as well as emotional or whatever, but like here in Ireland, you know, when it's grey, after a few grey days, you're like, I need to see the sun.
I'm depressed.
I need the sun's energy. And I know that's
absolutely.
slightly different, but the point is still the same. You know, like, we are whole beings. Something that impacts one part of us, of course it impacts another part of us, and we are a part of the whole. And a part of the whole is all of these planets. And it's just like this, like, of course, it makes so much sense when you think about how the planets that are closer are moving, and that's the houses, isn't that right? And then the aspects is, like you say, how one really interacts with the other in accordance to when you were born in your chart and how that moves around. And when you see that, and like Rafika has done a reading for me, and it was so on point, like, because you didn't know my chart, but it was so fascinatingly on point. And when you did Jason's, like, just because Jason is that bit more reserved about things, right? A bit more skeptical, especially about astrology, because there is so much, like, when you hear, like, he's like, oh, here Mercury's retrograde again, oh, you know, and like but like these things, and because I listen to a gentleman online, and every reading that he does, because he takes it down as far as he can without you know, like, it's still not directly just you, because it's not my time of birth, obviously, but like, it's in that area, like, it's he's pared it down as much as he can to it being very quite accurate, you know, that you can give to masses of people, and he offers to do the one-to-one work. But even those more pared down versions, like, there's every time he speaks, I'm like, that was exactly the week that I had. It blows my mind. I'm like, again, we're cyclical beings, and part of the cycle is the cycle of the planets.
Absolutely. Yeah,
it's so amazing, guys. It's honestly
wonderful. It's pure magic.
It is magical. And it's like, I definitely, like, you and I are going to, because I didn't have my exact time of birth. We had a rough idea. Birth? How dare you say that? My exact time of birth. Birth. Now we have that. I would love to do that deeper dive.
Absolutely. And just the last wee piece on how amazing astrology is that, you know, it incorporates just all aspects of life, like all the 4 elements too, you know, like, and how, like, they can merge and live together, and how we need each element and that energy together, and how, like, I can't remember the name of this astrologer. She was really cool, and she just, like, talked about, like, how, like, even the sequence of how, you know, then it's Aries, then Taurus, then Gemini, you know, etc. All right through to Pisces at the end, and how, like, you know, each of those, like, seasons that we go through help us to really we learn what we need from Taurus season, we learn what we need from Gemini, and then it really like moves really like synchronistically into the next season, you know. And yeah, it's just really magical. I love it. It's
scarily accurate, like really. And I think, like, I know you and I have talked about this before too, about how we're cyclical wild animals. So the planets impact all parts of nature, and the seasons impact us all. We all, everybody knows this. Like, we all know how we feel. If you live in a part of the continent, like a continent where you go through all of the seasons, you know how that impacts you, you know. And we accept that, and we accept, like, as a woman, the impact of the moon and our inner moon, you know, our menstrual seasons. And like, this is a huge part. Like, when you understand, like, something as simple as a woman and as a man, that you go through all the seasons internally, and you accept that, and you get this freedom of being like, all right, like we explained before, oh, I'm in ovulation time, like ovulation station, as I say. And you're like, oh, I have loads of energy. Oh, yeah. And then you forget yourself because you move on with life. And then in the next week, you're like, what is wrong with me? Yeah. I have no energy. And then you're like, oh, yeah, that's right. I'm in autumn. That's why. And then your plea comes and you're like, oh, thank God.
Thank
yeah,
the Lord.
Exactly, right?
I'm not losing my mind.
But we always forget, like, it's crazy. You are literally embodying it. It's in your freaking body. You live it every day. And you still have these moments of like, because you get caught up in the story and the narrative that the world is being like, you need to show up this way. And you accept that, and it's like so empowering when you do. And then that's, to me, what astrology has done. It's like this other layer.
Absolutely.
Of understanding yourself and being like, all right, I get that now this makes sense. And there's subtle, it can be as subtle energies. It's like getting into a depth of knowing yourself that is even more subtle frequency.
Absolutely.
Like a Mercury retrograde, which sometimes does not feel subtle at all. But I literally see it playing out, being like, people are going to me, why am I feeling like that? And it's women mostly, okay? And I mean, I do work mostly with women, but but I think it's because we bleed. We are more in touch with the subtle, well, not so subtle energy body, but I see, and I feel like, dudes, it's because Mercury's retrograde. Like, and you'd be like,
Mercury will
God.
be retrograding soon, by the way. I think we're in the shadow at the moment. So yeah. It's
but like
irrelevant.
These things that when you understand, it just gives a bit of like, it's like, why today do I feel like so heavy? It makes no sense. I've had the best night, the best time with family. Everything is amazing and perfect. There is absolutely zero logical reason for me to be feeling like this.
I know.
And then you have somebody that is talented like you explain your chart a bit to you, who because I am very like, I will keep the information to make sure that it is not impacted by, you know, your objectivity remains. And so I don't tell you, and then you tell me something, I'll explain. I'll be like, can you tell me a bit about where I'm at today? And then you'll tell me, and I'll be like, yeah, that makes sense.
It's amazing. And that's it.
It's insane.
And it's amazing because, again, it's a tool that we can decide, right, cool, here's the information, right, this could be affecting me. And like, we always have to be discerning and, you know, with all of this stuff.
It's choice. Everything's choice.
It's balance, yeah, because sometimes myself included, sometimes it's giving our power away, sometimes to a circumstance or to an astrological event. And obviously it does affect us.
Yeah.
Like, I believe it is, many have affected me.
Yeah.
But also it's like, okay, I don't want to also give away my agency, my authority, whatever, to some of these things. So that's, I suppose, where like the earthy sign balance kind of comes into these things, right? But it's amazing. It's an amazing tool, and it's I fucking love it. I my language piece, but yeah, it's so good. I love it.
I'm tagging Rafika at the bottom of this episode. Your eyes are huge, and I'm just like, what are you making me do? But if you want, like, tarot, like, you also work with tarot as well, and
yes,
but it all filters together in what you offer. And you're also a life coach, like you know, intuitive coaching guide, like you have so many friggin' skills. But I just wanted to own, like, if this is something that Rafika in particular, her energy, you're like, I would love to speak to her. I'm going to tag you in this so that people can just DM you, you know, or private message you or whatever, direct message you. Yeah, because it's good because there's so much out there and there's so many different energies and so many different people. And I'll be honest, a lot of what I see is in America. And I just love it that you're here, you know, and there's somebody here, and it's your gift is the accessibility that you give. Like, you make it accessible, like explaining the planets like that to me. I was like, and the fact that the elements, like, of course, all the elements are there: earth, fire, water, and air.
And that's it. And like, we could go on all day. And astrology is something like that is its own category, but I've been so lucky, again, like on my travels, that astrology has been a huge healing resource for me, as well as the tarot, as well as the oracle, you know. And being able to be of service through coaching or supporting people that isn't like social work, you know. Like, I've had beautiful clients I've worked with, and tarot has been a wonderful resource on my trip to Australia. Actually, that's what we were talking about. Maybe we can finish with that. We're coming back to that eventually.
Because you said about your astrocartography. I'm assuming.
So I had 3 big planetary energies going through Australia.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So it was like a big Mercury line on the west coast, a Pluto line, which is like mega intense, like going through the middle, and a Venus line going through the east coast. And I was like, all right, cool, that's interesting. And then anyway, fast forward, and again, I was moving on with my life, didn't think anything else about Australia, apart from just this one, looking at this astrocartography map. And then the first week of January 2023, my wee doggy passed away very suddenly, which fucking broke my heart. Wee Jack. And then the next day, my landlady who lived above me, when my beautiful flat, did I mention it was a beautiful flat? She came down and she was like, Rafika, I'm so sorry. I know your dog's just died, but like, you've got to move out. I'm selling the flat. And I was like, in my mind, I knew she was selling it, but not till like June. And I was going to manifest the money somehow to buy the flat. So I don't know how I was going to get the money because I had fag all at the time, right? But I was just like heartbroken because this was the first time I'd had a home of my own, and home is such another topic that I can go on about another time, but home is so complicated for me, you know, and actually having that beautiful flat meant more to me than a lot of things, especially after I'd been so nomadic, I think, for so many years since the beginning of my life, you know. So having this base, this flat, I could decorate it the way that I want. I lived on my own, you know. It was so important. And then that I had to move out of it, it just fucking broke my heart. And broke my heart. And then we did a very intense course a few days later. And it was just like, oh my God, it was wild. a bit.
But a sacred sexuality work with Rafika and I did together. 5 day intensive.
Yeah, it was wild. It was very intense.
Yeah, lots of heart opening, cracking, us open, ego deaths galore again. Yeah,
I just felt like it was just all over the place. And then that week after the course had ended, my boss came to me and she said, Rafika, I'm so sorry, like we've no more like they fucked up the funding application for our work, like our project, me and 2 other girls in my team had built this children's project from scratch. They messed up the funding. There was no more funding after March, and I was like, cool, great. Great, my dog's died, my flat's gone, my job's gone.
Your flat contract was ending at the end of March as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like, so the timing here was so important that these things all aligned.
God, I was like, what the hell is going on? Like, literally within 2 weeks that happened. And I know they're not the worst things that can happen to people.
But it's definitely not. One of those things on their own is a lot.
Yeah, but it was just like, what the fuck? You know, just in the space of time, it was just crazy. And then for a few weeks I was flapping around being like, what am I going to do? I was looking like, you know, I was going to look for like other places to live, and I really wasn't feeling it, you know, but I was like, I need to do something and like, you know, really try hard. And then I was thinking, what am I going to do about my job? And there was, anyway, it's a very long story. But then it was coming to Imbolc, And then I was like, okay, right. I did a little ceremony around Imbolc just to release and just be like, okay.
Imbolc is on the Celtic Wheel of the Year around
Yes.
the 1st of February time.
Yes.
Yeah.
That in between
Yes,
space,
that's beautiful.
isn't it?
Between
and
winter
spring.
solstice and spring equinox.
Yes.
The halfway point.
Yeah. And I remember just releasing it to whoever would listen, you know, just to help me. And then I did a tarot reading then with this girl who I just followed on Instagram, this girl from the States. And I'd had a couple of readings with her throughout the year, and I just said to her, I was like, what the hell am I going to do with my life? What's going on? You know, what is happening? And then I just suddenly remembered about Australia. Like I remembered, I had forgotten all about it. And I was like, and then I had this like random night where I thought about Australia, like, what do you think? And she was like, it is your destiny to go to Australia. Like, you have to go to Australia. All of this is happening for you. So like everything's been ripped away from you so that you can just go. You have to go. Everything is waiting for you, and you need to go like very fast, like go as soon as possible, or you're going to miss this opportunity. And I was like, excuse me, what? And then she was like, you know this already, you know, like your soul knows this, or you wouldn't be asking.
But you had a dream. Do you remember telling me about the dream you had about Australia?
I can't remember.
Yeah. Oh,
I don't remember
this?
the dream. My head's away.
Yeah, this is crazy because in like so we had the retreat in January, and just Jack had died, and you were really upset, and you and I were talking, and I had this really random dream about Australia, and it was like a wee man, like a local, like you like seen an Aborigine man, and it was like you're to come to like this dream was more or less saying you have to come to Australia, and you're all, where did that come from? And then all this other stuff started happening, and then you did the tarot, and then it was like, oh, there's Australia. I
can't believe that. I totally forgot about that. Isn't that amazing? Yeah.
And I was like,
so wild.
Oh, that's freaky that you've had that dream.
It was so crazy. I mean, because like when she said that, I was like, oh my God. And she was like, you need to book it in 6 weeks, within the 6 weeks. And I was like, I don't have any money, you know. And she was like, if you decide, the universe will look after you. And I was like, oh my God. So then like I was just like blown away. And then 2 days later, the Northern Ireland government gave me £600 for this electrical grant. I think people can probably remember people were getting like money for electric, and I was like, oh my God. And then the next day I got this bonus in my payslip, and I was like, we never got bonuses. And I was like, holy shit, like I basically got all this money
you need
within 2 days. And then I applied for the visa, and I was like, all right, fuck, I'll just see what happens. And then it was granted in like 5 minutes. And then the next day I was like, well, I'm going then, aren't I? So then I just booked that one-way ticket and went to Thailand first. And that was another country I didn't care about. You know, wasn't really interested. Not that I care about, that sounds really bad, but I wasn't interested. I didn't have a desire to go there, but I just, again, had a feeling. And then those couple of months, you remember, it was just like chaos. It was just like, God, I've got to sell my flat, you know, move out of the flat, finish my job, sell all my stuff, like be a bridesmaid, all these kind of crazy things.
I forgot the wedding in the middle of it all.
God, it was just chaos. And then everyone was like, what are you excited about Australia? And I was like, no, like I haven't even thought about it. And I remember, you know, speaking last night at the party with a couple of people who saw me again in that chaos before, and they were like, oh my God, like you're there. And so I don't know how to make the Australia story a bit short, but anyway, I went with no one, with nothing, no research. I booked my hostel the night before I got there in Sydney. It was just a ticket to Sydney, and I was like, okay, cool. I got to Sydney, and I was like, cool, what now? What's my destiny, you know? And so I stayed for a few days in Sydney, and I was like, I just felt like I need to get out of here. And then those 6 weeks, I remember just traveling north, because I was like, well, people travel north, don't they, you know? And I remember just going to these hostels, and everybody was super young, you know, like super, super young. And I was like, oh my God, am I too old to travel now? What have I done? I've made a huge mistake. This is a whole mess. What am I doing? You know, like what this is so ridiculous. And then every time I got to the dorm though, my hostel, I met an angel, you know. I met beautiful people every time I went to a different hostel who were really good, and ended up on a road trip with a guy, and ended up on his YouTube channel and a YouTube video. So that was fun. And anyway, long story short, ended up in Cairns eventually, and I was like, cool, this is it, amazing, finally, this is maybe where I'm meant to be, feels so good. And Australia is very seasonal. So like, you know, a lot of people then leave the south where it's cold, and then, you know, for their summer they go up north, or sorry, for their winter they go north. And I didn't know this, of course, because I did nothing to research. Of course I didn't know. And then Cairns was full. And at this point, because I didn't have much money, and I was like, I'm screwed. I'm fucked it. I'm gonna have to go home. I feel so ashamed. This was a mess. I'm ashamed of myself. Like, this is so stupid. And I was looking for jobs, and I just wasn't getting anywhere. And I was like, that's it. And then I remember I saw another tarot reader, and I was like, okay, I don't have any money, but you know what? I'm gonna spend money on this guy. Yeah. And I was like, you know, have I made a huge mistake? And he was like, no, you need to chill out, girl. And he was just like, you need to chill out, and you don't need to apply for jobs. You're the kind of person, you don't need to apply. And I was like, but what do you mean?
I remember that.
Do you remember? I was like, what do you mean I don't need to apply for jobs?
You're like, he's telling me not to apply for jobs.
Yeah. And he was just like, you're going to be fine. You need to relax, and that's when everything's going to work. And then he was like, then you're going to meet your husband. And I was like, I don't care about a husband. For once in my life, I didn't care about a husband. I was like, I don't care about my love life right now.
It's coming, but
whatever, that's another story, isn't it? But anyway, so long story short, I went out so I started to enjoy myself, went to this like free club night with a girl from my dorm, and ended up meeting this guy, and I told him the crack, and he was like, I'm going to take you to this woman. She's going to sort you out. And I went to meet this random lady in this shop, you know, and she was like, I'm going to send you. Basically, she ended up sending me to the desert. So I ended up on a plane, and I ended up in the middle of the desert, running this mad outback crazy pub motel. It was just insane.
I love Baduri. The stories of Baduri are like, for those who have ever been to Baduri, like, do reach out. It is like something out, like, I feel like a whole TV show should be created around Baduri. It's just a whole speechless. It's a whole I can't say that word, phenomenon. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like its own wee.
It's a place in the middle of the Queensland desert, 6 hours away from a supermarket, 3 hours away from any other local town.
Of course, that's where you ended up.
Of course, that's where I ended up. But I was at the end of the road. But the point of that story, I saw that tarot reader, and then that night I said a prayer. I said a prayer to God, to the universe, to the angels. And I said, please help me. If I'm meant to be here, please help me. Thank you for showing me the way. Please help me. And then the next day, that guy showed up at my hostel, the one who I met in the club, who brought me to this woman. And I was like, oh my God. Like, so every time where I was really desperate, I said a prayer. And then ended up in Baduri, which was a wild place, and it was.
You met some amazing people.
I met amazing people. I was a cook. I was a bartender. I was a zookeeper. You know, I was a housekeeper. I was a counsellor for all the people coming into the pub, and you know, having a yarn. You know, and I learned a lot. Learned how to play guitar. You know, and I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about people living in the outback, what they kind of go through too. And again, parts of Australia, because again, I did no research. Again, it's another wild part of the country, which was fascinating, beautiful, you know, and we're like Indigenous people and non-Indigenous people, I guess, were living together in harmony in this town, which I loved, you know, like, and was really important, because there's a lot of problems in Australia, and I really learned a lot. Not enough, obviously. Like, I'm still learning. And then anyway, spent a bit of time. So in Australia, those who know about the working holiday visa, God, fuck's sake, so it's annoying. Well, for me, I didn't know anything about this 88 days or, you know, this visa extension. I didn't know anything about it. But for me, luckily, I ended up doing the first year, because I just thought I was going out for a year, you know, and then I got this time when I was in Baduri. It ended up counting for my next year for a second year visa. And I was like, cool. Well, this country wants me to stay. Yeah. And every time I feel like wherever I go, there's like an expiration. I'm like, okay, I know I need to move on now. Yeah.
Like, was Krishna village, so Rafika also lived in a Hare Krishna village for 3 months?
Yeah, 3 months.
Was that before or after Baduri?
That was after Baduri. So then I went to Perth, and I had a bit of time in Bali, and then I came back and did Vipassana for a little. That was another crazy story. I try not to make this too long. It's quite long.
But you still not at all. Explain what Vipassana is.
Vipassana. So Vipassana is like a kind of Buddhist, I guess it's Buddhist branch of meditation. It's a specific type of meditation.
Yeah.
But people usually learn Vipassana in a 10-day silent retreat usually, and they're all over the world.
So 10 days of complete silence
10 days
with
of
no
silence.
technology,
No technology,
phone,
no writing, no books, no
nothing,
reading,
just
no
you
exercise.
and silence.
Silence, and then you're learning this
and then mantra,
meditation.
prayer.
So
Not
you're-
mantra, sorry, but
you're
sitting
doing this
in
meditation,
stillness.
10 hours a day. So I went to do that years ago when I was like 22, and I was like, nah. So I didn't do it. And then synchronicity
Yeah.
brought it to me
Mhm.
again, and I ended up there very quickly. Stayed there for like a month, and then I left and made a beautiful friend who, again, the point of this story is that many times when you think, eventually when you get there, you're going out there with an unknown, and then you kind of maybe start to think about making plans and trying to control your life. And then this trip has told me that not that I have no control, but that it's like, no, you actually don't. Like, there's actually way better things waiting for you. And an I can go back to astrology and explain a purpose of that, but your north node actually, which is your destiny point in life. So my north node is in Pisces. So your south node is always the opposite sign, which is in this opposite of Pisces is Virgo. So in this lifetime, we have to master our north node, because we're so comfortable in our past life. We came from the south node, which is what we mastered then. So, which is Virgo, is about, control, and, like very controlling and having plans and being organized. And it's not all about that. Virgos are beautiful, great, it's a beautiful sign. But it's about kind of, and then moving into Pisces is the opposite. It's like letting go, trusting in the unseen, surrender are the themes of Pisces. So this tarot reader who I met in Cairns told me that also. He was like, your north node in Pisces, you really need to embrace the surrender here. You need to surrender. And I was like, oh my God, okay. And so this is what this trip has been about. So when I left Vipassana, which I didn't expect to end up in the Vipassana center, I met this girl. Long story short, she brought me to Krishna Village, which is Hare Krishna Village in Murwillumbah, New South Wales. And I was like, cool, I'll stay here a few days. And she was like, no, you're staying. And I was like, what? She told me, you need to stay. She had a feeling that I needed to be there. And I was like, what? But I trusted her. And I was like, okay. And I ended up staying in this Krishna Village for 3 months, living in a tent in the community with the most amazing people. I learned a lot about Krishna consciousness, which was also a very interesting experience. Yoga, kirtan, all those beautiful things. And some things that aren't always so beautiful too, the dark side of religion, spirituality also. And then I was like, cool, I need to leave Krishna Village now. I need to get out of this. And I was like, cool, I'm going to go to Sydney. I'm going to go get a job and all these things. And then as I was going to leave, 2 days before I left, my boss from Baduri called me, and he was like, please come back. Please come back.
The timing on that again was crazy.
I was like, are you joking me? So anyway, and I really needed that, actually. Went back to the desert, was way more intense because it's in my Pluto line. Coming back to the astrocartography, it's right in the Pluto line, which is like transformation, ripping you open. It's wild. And it was very intense, as you know, with your 10-minute voice notes. Like, oh my God. Yeah, it's crazy. So then I went back to Baduri with the best girls who I worked with, my family, my Peruvian and Ecuadorian sisters. And Jim, who was my boss, who lived in Baduri all his life, 75 years of age, trucker. I met truckies, cowboys. I ended up doing tarot readings for some of the ringers, and
So cool.
did tarot readings for a women's festival for rural women. So in Baduri I got a lot of great experiences to do that. And then it turned out that so I was 35 at this point. The visa, working holiday visa, you're only up to 35, but you can apply for 1 more year until you're 36 years of age. And I just thought, well, I'm too old. I'm not going to make, so you have to do 88 days and then 180 days to the next time. And then it all turned out, very long story short, it turned out that my work that I had unintentionally done added up to
the right hours,
the right amount of hours, 2 days before my 36th birthday. And I was like, shit, like, you cannot make this up. I was like, I'm meant to stay in this country for whatever reason. I didn't even try. And those of us who are in Australia, knowing this visa process, some people really struggle and suffer to get these days done. And for me, it was just handed to me on a plate. So the journey,
and this has been something that you and I have talked to a lot, even though, so for Rafika and I, our lives are obviously completely different, but there's a symmetry that happens with us, which is this piece around surrender and trust. And like, we so get in our own ways and we limit, like I was explaining to a friend of ours, like it's like we put blinkers on and we're like, this trajectory that's in front of me is how it has to go, because I've decided that. And by doing that, you're missing all this incredible opportunity and limitless abundant potentiality that exists because you've put on the blinkers. And if we just get out of our own way and be like, right, I'm just going to see where the road takes me. I mean, I've said before, we take inspired action. You know, you're doing your best to feel, you're following threads, and you're doing your best to follow the threads and to trust that eventually it's like a kite, you know, like the wind will catch on an end of this thread and you'll be pulled in that direction, but you will still keep following. You still taking your inspired action to follow all the threads and be like, okay, let's see. And it's like you're in the dark, you're blind, but eventually the tug happens and you're like, whoa, you're pulled and you've nothing, you know, you're not in control.
Yeah. And
it's so beautiful because we're not in control.
We're not in control.
At any time. And we like to think we are. We build all these like concrete structures around us and think, oh, I'm in control. But it all can.
Yeah, like this is what the premise of this whole trip has been so far, is really like when I stop resisting and forcing and trying something. Like, so when I left Baduri after that second time and came home for those few weeks and went back and ended up getting another long story short, I ended up on the west coast, ended up in this crazy job in Perth. I was like, nah, fuck this. I left it after like the same day. And that was something I'd never done before, actually. I was just like, wow, like you really have to honor yourself, and as a solo traveler as well, like really honoring like your intuition sometimes, you know, like deciphering what is trust and what is giving it a go and what is actually, no, this is not right. You know, like, and I've had many of those experiences. So and luckily I've been guided in the right way, even if it doesn't always feel like it. And ended up like crying on New Year's Day at Fremantle Port and crying my eyes out, being like, what have I done? Like, you know, I ended up again with all about money, you know, as well, like, because in Australia it's an expensive country too. And I felt really like I didn't have a lot of money left. I was trying to find jobs for that last month, and I was just really like feeling again very disheartened and ashamed of myself, and why am I at this age, you know, and I'm doing this and everybody else is settled down and having families and I'm here crying on a harbour by myself, you know, like what am I doing, you know? What is this for? So many times I've said to you, myself, other people, I'm like, what is this for? You know? And then anyway, I come back, have a little cry, do a bit of writing, meditate. Actually, the Vipassana meditation has been really good. Or and I just be like, okay, like, show me, you know. And then sometimes I just get like a place, you know. After I did that meditation on the harbour, on the pier, I just got this place, Exmouth.
Do you remember the t-shirt? The guy was wearing the t-shirt.
2 seconds later, I looked over and this guy was wearing the Exmouth t-shirt. He was not there before, and I was like, oh my god! And
that's
then
crazy.
It was wild. Wild. And then I went back, told my lovely German friend Hanno in the dorm about the crack, and he was like, I'll come with you, and I was like, okay,
even better.
Yeah, why not? So we ended up doing a bit of research for once. Saw these two French boys, a little bit of research. Saw these two French boys were driving actually to Broome, but we're going through all these different places. And I was like, oh, let's message these boys, see if we can go with them. Yeah. We ended up going with these two young French boys in the car. So I was with, three of us, three boys and me in the car, all squished in Vince's car. And we drove and camped on the side of the road. We camped beside lighthouses. We camped in truck stops. We camped in these mad places.
Which none of that would you have seen if you hadn't just surrendered, and obviously you made sure you were safe and all
exactly
that jazz,
but those boys were like my brothers, you know. And we listened to French rap bit of house, bit of transit class, you know. Had a great journey. Didn't have to think about anything for a week. It was wonderful. Got to Broome and I was like, oh my god, because I got to Eggsmith and I was like, okay, I think I'm going to continue with you boys on to Broome. And then I got to Broome and I was like, oh my god, I don't know anything about this place. What am I doing here? Do you know? Again, it, like this kind of going through this meltdown and then being like, right, okay, it's going to be all right. Literally within 2 days, again, I went to the club, this trashy club at that trashy hostel I stayed in called the Rowie. My Broome friends will know this. Like the Rowie, went to the Rowie, the wet t-shirt contest at the Rowie, and met a French guy. He basically got me a job the next day. 2 days later, I got my job in another pub. And I was just like, oh my God, I was struggling in this other place for about a month and a half. And I come to this place and everything has fallen into place for me. And I'm like, and that's where I met the most amazing friends. You know, I had such a beautiful community. I had the most magical experiences in this beautiful beach. I went through a lot in the pub, like emotionally. Learned a lot about myself. And got to go to Vietnam with my mom in between, you know, got to travel with her. And that was really cool. And came back to Broome and kind of finished up my time there. I learned a lot more about the land, like felt the magic from that red earth, you know, that gorgeous red earth. Learned more about the people there, the indigenous people and the culture there was just so fascinating. And
then you came home and here you are.
And then I came home for my granny's 80th birthday and to see you. And basically so then now I've got till May on my visa. So I go back in a week or two to Australia, and my soul knows I need to go to the middle, to Uluru. And I'm intrigued to see what's going to happen this time round. I hope I don't have many more meltdowns. I hope I am more, because it always works out.
Let's be honest.
And I'll be like, calling you, be like, oh my God.
Meltdowns are a part of the human, especially
I have so many.
But the thing is, really to really honor that though, like, and I know people listening to this will be like, holy shit, I feel like you don't realize how fucking brave you are, like how courageous it is. Like for me, so we know, so for those that don't know, now you will, because I'm going to share, but I've literally stepped out of the 9-to-5 paradigm. I am stepping into working for myself. That takes courage. It takes bravery. It's like I said before, it's like the gilded cage. You're in this sense of safety that isn't really real. The truth is, because like, what is the ultimate thing that can happen? You can die. And death will come to you no matter where you are in this world, right? True. So there's this like shift of being like, oh, it's safety, it's security and whatever, but it's coming regardless. Live your life the best way that feels right and aligned for you. And that takes courage. And it takes even more courage when you're just following the gut soul intuition of being like, my egoic self is going, I should have this, I should have that, I should be doing this, you know. Let's tick all the boxes of what we've been sold as a way to live. And ignore, or in your case, let's not tick any of those boxes and actually just follow this guidance. That's, of course you're going to have breakdowns. It's like you are really shattering the glass ceiling, you're shattering all of the conditioned beliefs and programs about how someone must live. And it's so entrenched, like the programming is so deep, hence why we have these moments of being like, what the fuck am I doing? Am I doing the right thing? Even though in our bodies, if we really drop in and listen, we're like, it is the right thing. I know it makes no fucking sense. It makes no sense, but I know it's right. And everyone around you is coming from this is the sensible thing. This is how, this makes no sense. But it's like what has been demonstrated through your story time and time again today is when you trust and surrender and let go, the universe provides, God provides, always takes care of you, always shows you, and that humans are intrinsically kind.
I absolutely, like, I couldn't agree more. I've been, again, with my privilege, you know, I just want to mention that again. Not everybody gets these opportunities, and I don't take that for granted. And I'm coming to terms now as a 36-year-old. I know I don't look 36. Well, I look younger than that. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. It's bullshit, really, isn't it? But, you know, especially traveling in Australia, there's a lot of younger people traveling. And many of my friends who I've met in Broome, especially, or even my whole time there, have been really young. And they've taught me so much, you know, and really humbled me. It's like, I thought I knew everything, you know, because I've been traveling for a long time, and, you know, all of this, you know, that's such, you know, it's such a load of crap. And I've met so many young people who are very inspiring, very amazing, and who are, again, all going through their own thing, and we have all come together to heal and help each other. And it's, I think, this has taught me to really just be like, okay, it doesn't matter if my life doesn't look like it should at this age.
Sorry, what was that? Like what? No shoulds.
What did you say?
Don't should all over yourself.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, like just because you're 36, you're in your late 30s, and you don't have a husband, a house, a dog, a cat, a baby, all those things, you know, that it doesn't take away from your value or worth, or that your life isn't just as special or meaningful. And that, you know, that just because those things, you know, like those things aren't happening now, you know, doesn't mean that they don't happen, you know, and that everybody's life looks different, and that's okay, and that it's all right to follow these threads, you know, like to enjoy, and like, yeah, it's made me braver, stronger. I need to recognize the strengths also, and I suppose that's a message for all of us. We need to recognize the strengths that we come through in our own lives if we are living at home, and, you know, whatever, you know, if we've been away, and but yeah, it's been really cool, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen in this next part.
There's definitely another episode in our future, because I know everybody's going to be like, well, how did she get on when she went back to Broome? But like, before we finish, there's something that I know that you use a lot whenever you're under, like when you're feeling anxious or whatever, and we always share a resource with people in every episode. And what would be that you would be willing to share, like an example of a resource that in those times of uncertainty, in those times of going, what the hell am I doing? Like, what would be something that you, as a practice, that you could share with us that you've used to really ground you?
Yeah, I have a few. Like, obviously there's many, I'm sure, that have been talked about. But the ones I love are like, oh my God, getting in the water if possible, you know, like if I just can be in an ocean or the water of some kind, that's really good for me. Writing, journaling, just writing, whatever. Tapping, EFT tapping is, I've been doing it for years. It's so amazing. And I would tap on, you know, do the sequence. Do the sequence, and call in whatever strength that I needed, or I can, you know, I can tap.
You said about to me about astrological tapping.
Yeah, so sometimes
so
I
can you share that, as in what is that practice, so we can even try that now?
Yeah, so tapping, you know, for me, I'm, like I said, I'm a bit of a, like, I'll try and do what I want and experiment with different things, and sometimes there's specific sequences, but I will always stick to the sequence, the EFT sequence, you know. So we can start with the karate chop here on the side. And so, for example, so thank you God, thank you Cosmos, thank you angels, whoever we want to thank. Thank you for showing me the way. Thank you that everything's going to be all right. Thank you for showing me the right path and what I need to know for my highest good. And then we'll start on the eyebrow here, and then we're like, so if we're using the cosmos, be like, thank you, sacred cosmos, for revealing to me what I need to know. Thank you, Cancer energy, for example. Thank you, sacred Cancer energy, for allowing me to feel safe in my body and safe at home in myself and my emotional world. Thank you, Aries energy, for giving me fire and strength and confidence and bravery. This is just under the eye and under the nose. Thank you, Sagittarius energy, for allowing me to be my brave, adventurous self. Thank you for my expansion of knowledge of the world, of the cultures around me. Oops. And on the chin now, chin point. Thank you, sacred Pisces energy, for allowing me to surrender to what is in front of me. Thank you, I surrender. Thank you, God. Thank you, angels, for allowing me to trust and surrender. Then the collarbones. I'm bringing a bit of earth. Oh, I always forget the earth. I'm so not earthy. I'd be like, thank you, Capricorn energy, right? Thank you, Capricorn, for allowing me to be very grounded, stable, secure in myself. Thank you that I know myself and that I'm grounded, I'm safe. I will get to where I need to go, even if it takes time. I will commit to myself and I will keep going. And then the armpit. Thank you, Taurus, again, Taurus energy, for allowing me to be grounded and allowing me to have consistency, stability within myself. And then top of the head, let's go for the Libra sun. Thank you, Libra energy. Thank you for allowing me to have a balanced perspective. Thank you, allowing me to be at peace in my heart, in my body, my mind, my soul. Thank you for bringing it all together. Thank you that I may be fair and good to everybody that I meet, and that may my life be harmonious. And so it is.
So it is.
So that's just an example of how we can use the cosmos. We can, sometimes I use the different archangels. When I'm doing a tarot reading, I always like to invite the angels, guides, ancestors into the reading, and I close our eyes together, and I tap and bring in the guides also. So that's a really cool, great resource that I love.
That was lovely. Thank you. Your words are so, they just hit home for me. And like you're so good with your words. Like those sentences just rolled off your tongue. I was like, wow, look at all those affirmations. Whoa. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for sharing your journey. And to courageously be honest about all of it. Like that, you know, the judgments that you have, like the parts where you were afraid, like, you know, because so much in this world, and we've had so many beautiful guests, and there's so many beautiful guests to come, and I love it, all of them, because they're all so honest, because we live in this world where if you are somebody that's like on this journey of spirituality as well, and working through and being in all these spaces, how we were talking about this last night. So last night we had, so it was the seventh portal. It was really the soft launch for womanhood. I know womanhood has already been established for a while, but it's more for me. It's about this next stage of my life. And I was like, you know, I really just, as a manifesting generator, want to bring people together, and all these beautiful souls that I'm like, Rafika, everybody knows of Rafika, and there's so many of them. We're like, we have to meet this amazing human, for example. And it just all aligned, and a beautiful group of souls came, and we sat around the fire. We shared food. Everybody brought food, and everybody shared their own medicine of their own laughter and stories and prayers and poems and songs, and just like from everything from like kirtan chants in Irish to absurdist poems about like bare-assed gnomes jumping out of fires. Like, you know, it was this beautiful balance of all those things. And And the reason I'm mentioning this, just to bring to a close, is that that's honesty, you know, that we have integrity and we be honest through the challenges of life, that you can be somebody that is embodying all this beautiful work, and we don't have to be so serious all the time, you know, and it's the joy of like the crazy crap of life that connects us all, you know what I mean, where we're like, oh my God, that was a beautiful moving moment, but I really like need to fart, you know, like, you know, like I've been sitting in silence for 5 hours now. I really like to, like, this is human, this is life, and
it's amazing. And it's so cool because, again, like, to finish, it's like we can talk about the things that are difficult, and and sometimes it's easier always to talk about the things that maybe go wrong or that are difficult. Maybe sometimes it's not. Sometimes we don't always want to show people the bad sides of life. For me, I'm very open about struggles sometimes. But also for now, my journey now is about, like, actually, I need to really praise myself on the journeys that I've been in my life, and that my life is a blessing and a gift, and I've learned I've got a lot of great skills. Even me saying that now, I couldn't fucking have said that 10 years ago, 5 years ago, you know, couldn't have done this, sat here with you, and, you know, I've got great skills, I've met amazing people, I've had a very magical, mystical life, you know, and I'm really very lucky for that. And I've learned from having a bit of a fucked up time, you know, when I was a kid, you know, I love that I was fucked up, you know, because I got to do all of this. I got to learn all of this stuff, and you know, and that, I think as well, what's really important is that no matter what age you are, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter.
It's just a number.
Obviously, our circumstances, you know, we're in certain circumstances, but if we are deciding and we really want to do something, you know, it's about, it doesn't matter how old we are or young we are to do something. If that's what's in your heart, bloody go for it.
Exactly. Thank you so much. And
thank you.
No matter what age you are, it's a takeaway for me, and that we're all, no matter what our lives look like, magical, mystical beings with our own skills.
Absolutely.
And nobody, don't put anyone on a pedestal. Nobody deserves to be put on a pedestal. We're all traversing our way home together.
And everybody's life, no matter where you go, if you never leave your country, you know, that's wonderful too. You know, if everybody has medicine, for sure. Everybody has medicine.
And that was one of the gifts from last night for me, was seeing everybody's medicine. And I mean, when I say medicine, it's the conversation, it's the laughter, it's the way something lands in your ear, the joke, the song, the silence, like, and just the person and all of their being, their essence. Like, so thank you for the gift that you are, and the essence of you are, and sharing your story.
Thank you for
and
listening.
for sharing your resource. I always ask at the end of every episode, what is a saying or a ritual or an affirmation or a prayer that has been most illuminating for you on your healing journey?
I sent you this before. The first one, sometimes I freeze when I'm on the spot. But the first one that came was my granny as one day at a time, and from that song, one day at a time, sweet Jesus. We don't know the rest. We tried to sing it before. But my granny is a very special, amazing woman, and as my mother, and you know, but my granny, she's been through her own adversities in her life, and when we're all kind of suffering and going through stuff, she's like, one day at a time.
One day at a time.
We
value money, woman. One day at a time.
One day at a time, you know, and it's
so true.
It's so simple, you know, but so potent, you know.
So true.
Yeah, so that's what I would say, and it's really hard to do that sometimes. But if I just really, sometimes I forget that I might never experience this moment again, you know. So I'm like, I really just wanna be in it. Even if I'm suffering, I know that I've got myself, and that this will pass. Like, I won't be suffering like this forever. Yeah,
presence isn't everything, isn't it? And
just let it happen.
Letting it go and surrender is that one day at a time, because all the stories that we can concoct, and like, even like I say with the blinkers on, is this belief that things are going to go this way that we've planned. And one day at a time reminds us that you don't doesn't exist. That future doesn't exist, and the past is gone.
Yes.
The only thing you have that's real is this present moment. So I'm so glad that you finally got on this podcast
Oh my
and
goodness.
to share this with you.
Thank
And
you so
I'm
much.
so excited for this next stage. And I know there's going to be like revelations galore, and it's just going to really illuminate you further, and that this journey is, as we're all walking each other home, and part of that is walking ourselves into our highest versions of self. And I just know that this next turn of the wheel and for you in your life is more. It's going to be so much more. And even the hearing and sharing that story of your life and of this particular part of the journey, I can see it's already aligning. It's like everything's aligning, and we will definitely have another episode in a year's time or whenever it's meant to be. And who knows, maybe we'll not be filming it here. It could be somewhere else in the world entirely.
Who knows?
And like travel, there's more travel in the future as well. I feel
for sure.
India is calling.
Thank you for having me. So I really appreciate your time.
Of
and
course.
for me being here and asking me, and thank you.
You were always
listens,
there.
that's nice.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing your skills. Now,
Thank
before we
you.
finish, we do a card pull every week from a different deck, and this is your own deck. So can you tell us a bit about this deck before
Well,
we
I didn't
go?
create this deck, just to be clear.
No. Oh, sorry. I mean,
It's not
she
mine.
brought it with her from Australia. The saltwater reading. cards.
Yes, from the Aboriginal saltwater people. From well, I'm not sure exactly. I think this writer's from Queensland, but I think I got this deck in Broome in Western Australia. So
beautiful.
Saltwater people are. But anyway, it's a beautiful deck.
Journey with the messengers of the sea. So the saltwater people.
So nice little ocean vibe.
So the card that was pulled, so we had our ceremony to begin, and we pulled, and Jason will share this up on the screen. It was the albatross, and the word is endurance, and it's card number 1. So like I always say, may this card reading be medicine for you when this arrives in your eyes or ears, that it's for you for your own life. The albatross is a very large seabird with a wingspan of up to 2 meters. These giants will often live 8 to 10 years at sea, resting briefly on the surface of the water when they tire from flying. They only return home to shore to breed and to raise their young. Unlike almost any other bird, the albatross can drink and survive on salt water, a feat that would kill most other birds. They are physically strong and have a long history in many sea tales. They are considered to be both a good and a bad omen. Seeing one dead or killing one is believed to be bad luck. Their gift and lesson to us is their ability to survive and endure hardship for long periods of time. This is funny. They spend many years wandering alone far out at sea in such a harsh environment with no safe haven or home to return to.
Oh no.
The albatross, the brave albatross, reminds us we are stronger than we feel, and we are capable of enduring so much more. When the albatross comes forward, we are being reminded that the journey ahead will be long and will possibly see us making some of that journey alone. It will test us, as we will need to find strength and an inner reserve we may not be familiar with, but the albatross promises us that we are strong enough to endure the challenges and difficulties that we will encounter. It is time to embrace a period of solitude, develop your powers of strength, courage, survival, and endurance. Ooh.
Very nice.
I love that.
Again, out on your own a wee bit. But we're never alone, really.
Never. No. It's suppose it's that like inner reserve, the inner tank, fill the inner tank. Know that no man is an island, but only you can live your life.
That's
And I
it.
suppose that's a lonely part, but you're not alone. You can walk the path together, but only you can walk the path.
Absolutely.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Wow.
everybody.
My
Thank you so
goodness.
much for
Thank
being here
you.
for yet another episode. And yes, thank you from our hearts and wombs. And we will see you again soon. Mwah.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye.